What's popular, YouTube? Another day, another demo. And today we've got the man who has not been on this channel in some time. I don't remember the last time, actually, I've done a Grimathy demo. And I'm pretty excited for this one. Everybody asked for it. You know, when we were halfway through Inferno, I tweeted out, HLTV, post the demo, this game's over. And then they still lost, of course, because it's not easy to win the series. They got close, they really did. 16-14 on Inferno and then lost on Nuke as... No shame in that, losing to FaZe on Nuke. But Grim, man, he had an extraordinary game. 32-17. He had a unbelievable first half, which is what we're going to watch on the CT side. And in this demo, I draw a lot of comparisons to the SDY demo, which is another pit player that we watched, to compare styles a little bit. And we talk about the map, Hall's control, what the rotations look like, the ideal positions for CT side, all that good stuff. So, and then on top of that, a great frag move from Grim. So there's a lot of stuff here. Hope you enjoy it. Let's hop in. He plays on full bob, man. 21. This guy, Grim, he's not scared. If he played on 5 bob, they probably win this game. No, I'm just kidding. Well, this game... Whoa, he types while he runs? That's how you know he's a keeper. Okay. Grim here on CT side. Playing versus FaZe. And the cool part about prepping for this demo was actually watching games where he didn't do well on Inferno. Because, honestly, they actually struggled a little bit. And the games that I watched before this were not so great. When you zoom out a little bit, Grim's got some great games versus top teams. Actually having a pretty decent year overall. Of course, he's not the Grim that we remember from Triumph. Maybe not just yet. But this one was definitely a glimpse. And listen, this game is versus FaZe Clan, right? Best in the world right now. 23-6, I believe, in this CT side for Grim, as he plays up against his hardest competition in the EPL playoffs. No small feat. Let's see if he can score a kill or 2 even. It wouldn't be easy, but if there's anyone that could potentially do it, maybe it's Grim. No, not today. I had another CT side demo, and that's right, it's also another pit demo. So the last one we did, of course, was SDY, and I think to draw a comparison, the first thing that I noticed was Grim is a little bit less methodical than SDY in terms of the way that he plays his spots. And we watched SDY, he was very cognizant of where he was standing, what angle he was holding. He had, you know, a collection of them, but they were all calculated, right? I think it's like a liege way of playing games. Now, there are spots like this one, if we pause right here, Grim has really good crosshair placement. I actually saw him a couple of times get a kill off of this perfect crosshair placement. So it looks like he's aiming into the abyss, but if someone wraps onto the site, this is the perfect spot for him to react to a head coming up. And it looks very wide, but because there's actually not much space between where his crosshair is and where the wall is, it's a fast-moving model that it feels like that's a 10-second reaction time. So very aware of some of his positions and stuff like that, but overall, just a little bit more loose. I mean, it's not to say that he isn't always thinking about what he's doing, but less methodical in the sense of it's a little bit less calculated at every single step, I would say. Also, of course, the rotations and stuff for complexity, at least in some of the games where they weren't doing so well, were a little bit messier. And I'd like to pay attention to this game where overall they played great. And shout out to JT for not only calling a great game, but also getting some very, very clutch kills. I thought as a leader, he was showing off his individual level. If you guys watched today, it was very fun. And yeah, this is the Grim that Liquid wanted. And I really don't put that on Grim, the reason that he played so badly on Liquid. I don't know about the work ethic and stuff like that. All of that stuff is conjecture, right? I don't like to use third-party testimonies. I mean, I keep it in mind when I think about players, but I don't let it become my opinion of them, because everyone's got their own side to things, and I've, really never heard Grim express his. I think he mentioned something about it in response, but, he has to be careful about recusing himself of all the blame because, well, he was kind of being attacked after Liquid didn't work out so well, and it felt like, Grim's not the dude with a ton of power, but, oh, here we are, off to the races already with the 5-7 3K? No, not 4. But definitely enough to win the round. And this is the moment where you're like, okay, I'm having a good game. I'm aiming. I'm carrying forward from overpass. Did he dink drops as well? It looks like he may have. So what do we see from SDY playing on Inferno? A lot of the balcony stuff. Very few nades inside of halls early. Very few times did he molly to stop rushes early on. Spent a lot of his time up on top of the balcony in this position. And again, very calculated about every angle he held, and didn't do much jiggle spotting. Instead, he would, you know, find his very perfect angle, right? Aiming above the light switch for the perfect crosshair placement for his kill. Grim just kind of floats a little bit. He throws the smoke in the same way that I explained before, or if you bounce it off the door frame, it's nice and tight. And if you play close to the door here, you can avoid flashes and also have a chance to get a kill and push into the halls. So actually, it's peaceful for a second, but we just heard some flashes. They might have retaken mid. Looking at the map right now with the stack over towards the A site and B control, this is a classic position for the CT side. This is what you're actually always trying to get to. You're trying to get to bottom B control and 4 on A. That's pretty much it. And then you have enough resources to stop every attack. And with the amount of time left on the clock, it would obviously be very pertinent for FaZe to get this B player back. And it's very easy to do that since they're usually alone. And you can throw a flash to do that. But Complexity are guessing right now in the sense that they're waiting. But they have such good spots that there's really no point in getting too nervous about this. So let's see how Grim plays it. So this is really perfect. Okay, first of all, beautiful spray on the end. After getting his first 2 kills, he'd done his job. But the way that Grim's playing right now, he's going to get 3, and I think we're going to see that probably a couple more times this half. I was watching in and out, so I didn't see all of the big moments only until after they happened. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to watch this demo, so I didn't want to spoil anything. So decided to watch it live. But that's the common play right there. Use the fact that when you're up on the balcony, you have great angles versus lane and versus halls, and you can so easily fall back into more great angles in mini pit, in big pit, if you can get there. And so it's very important to use the top of balcony for as much as you can. So again, we get this early grenade coming out, or early Molotov coming out to the end of halls. And one thing I found slightly uncomfortable about the setup is just, it felt like they were actually kind of weak to the end of halls because Grim didn't even play here that often. And they often ended up watching halls either from the site or from lane like this, this is a perfectly normal setup, of course, but it's not like the best way to hold halls. Like if you see this on a map, you're on the T side, and let's say you knew it, then you would definitely consider going for a halls pop or trying to lurk out and take this fight. But sometimes this has to do with game plan. Like how often do you think a team likes to go to the end of halls, likes to go here on eco rounds to pop out of the end of halls and take pit control? And in situations where they don't like to do that too much, wow, just saw a shoulder, then yeah, maybe it's better if you just play inside of brackets or play a little bit more aggressively. And here we are, Grim just popping off, hitting lots of shots. Not going to overplay it. So he sets up the smoke. You can jump on the bike and peek over top of this with this smoke. This is not a weird thing. It's obviously going to be known to FaZe. And once we cross that 20-second marker around there, always use your smoke. Always use your smoke in pit. If you're around the 20-second mark, you don't know where the rest of them are. There's no reason not to drop it. The last thing that you want to do is die with a smoke in hand when you're the big player. That's just the silliest way to go. And make sure that you're... Like, the economy is supplementary to everything you do in Counter-Strike, but at the same time, your number one priority, 90% of the time, is to, like, win the round, right? So try to be a little bit liberal with your grenades more than conservative in general. I would say I think that's a good way to practice. This angle is awesome. Sometimes teams on defaults will send 1 into hall. Sometimes they'll send 2 to fork. And sometimes they'll try to peek from the left and right side of the halls. Oh, wow, Rops is way too careful there. You can see Grim could kind of smell him after his teammate had just gotten that kill. But he was on full alert. It's not always the case that you're going to, on T side, get into the halls and clear it out with 2 people. Sometimes the idea is to just go there to make sure no one's there and then go forward with your B exec, or send 1 person there because the CTs never play it, so you just want to go send someone to check it. Sometimes you send 2 so you can peek the end of the long haul at the same time from both sides. So you'll see, like, I don't know, like a Liege and Naf do this, for example, sometimes, but again, you don't do this every time. And the idea is if there's an opper holding this line right here, they can just get spammed down by either person. Even the guy on this side will have a great chance to get the refrag if the op comes out. And sometimes you just go cross-eyed. You're holding this angle with the op, and then one guy peeks from this side, one guy peeks from this side, and they just start crouch spraying. You flick in the middle, and then you end up missing everything. So it's totally possible that that occurs. One thing I think maybe a bit more subtle about Inferno is that resmoking brackets in the early round makes a lot of sense. Later on in the round, you don't want to use your smokes as much for brackets control. Like, it's not something you want to get married to, because there's a couple of reasons, but there's not that many places that you want to just sit in brackets late round and just hold for this, because this choke point doesn't even stop you from going A. As we can see right now, there are 2 Ts in halls, and so boiler is always a problem as well. Sometimes you're smoking boiler, but if you could always use your smoke in pit, or you could use your smoke late on the site, something like that, like we're about to see from Grim here, then that can be equally beneficial, if not more. Gearing a flash for the call of Fang to land over top of library, so you can clear things out. And this is actually still a pretty good position for. I would like to play the game. Who would you rather be? I like to do this with Connor sometimes when we're casting. Sometimes I'm 50-50, so I'm not asking them to trap him or something like that. But I'm just curious what the map looks like from his perspective. We've got not great guns here, but it's 30 seconds, and we have bottom B control, and we have 2 people on site. I like almost everyone's position, and Fang has a pretty good gun. So the one thing about this setup that I don't think is perfect is the fact that there's still 2B, but there's still potential that it is a B hit. So I'm not saying it's wrong, but I'd say overall, I don't mind the CT spot here. A floppy will get a kill, and they're actually trying to split CT. Ooh. So yeah, whenever someone splits CTs, right, this is the perfect reaction. You want to go and retake mid control from lane like this. And then you can join up either going down mid, which I actually noticed watching a lot of Grim's routing, that sometimes you're almost never flanking down mid. Sometimes you do it. Some players like to do it. Some teams like to do it more. There's like 1,000 ways to die if you go down mid and try to flank B. But of course, it's obviously really nice to have the banana flank as part of your retake if you can get down mid safely. I think at the end of this game, actually, it was Rops did an excellent job of killing JT. Oh, actually, he did it on CT side. I don't think we see that bait. Also, I think was he using the A4? Oh, I can't even remember. Getting the Mandela effect right now. I think I'm not going to say he switched, but I just remember him with an A4. I'm not sure if someone dropped it for him in the previous game. But we saw this game, the A1Ss made a difference, man. Even for FaZe, though. Grim did a great job with them. As we'll see the instant reposition here to Mini. He's got a teammate on site. Now you can hold and wait for someone to drop on you. But it can be kind of risky if there's noise on lane that you don't even hear the drop sometimes. But with the teammates on site, he stays alive. He's been very good on the hay card angles. And now they're actually so smart, they're going to go and re-aggress. And I think this is a huge difference in the way that, wow. This is such a big difference in the way that Complexity were playing Inferno today. Not just playing Inferno, playing the whole series today. They did such a good job of being active. They were ego peaking. They were swinging. And I actually mean that in the most endearing way possible. As the underdog team, you know, you might come... There are matches that as fans, when you're watching, you're like, yeah, you can do it if you try hard enough. Like, believe in yourselves. But as a player, if you're in a matchup that's like, you're just so unfavored in terms of ranking, you've lost them a million times, they're the #1 team, you actually come into matches sometimes, I'm sure you feel like you're going to lose. Like, you feel like it's just, you're going to lose unless everyone's insane and a million things go right. But what we saw today from Complexity was they were playing the whole time as if they were winning. They played like any good team should. They knew when to re-aggress. They abused the fact that they've got a lot of good individual players, and they're very, very smooth and quick about how fast they retook things. And there is a huge difference between hanging out for like 2-3 seconds and saying, oof, we could retake, or we could just chill and play passive and like hold and hopefully they lose this round running into us, or playing like the team who believes they're going to win, who believes they're better, and going for that retake as soon as that feeling strikes. And I think that's the Complexity we saw today. So this nade timing is for when they're jumping up onto halls. Saw Grim missed this a couple of times, and I wasn't sure if it was because of the spawn, but even when FaZe were sprinting up to the back of halls, Probably it could have been because of spawn, but it sometimes landed a bit early. Really using library a lot and giving up brackets a lot, actually. But look at that, man. They go back, get space. Even find somebody. And this is really just perfect right now. So you can see Grim loves to end up back in mini whenever he can. And now that they got the 5v3 and now it's a 5v2, you know, play your favorite spot, right? All you need to do is get one kill and the game is over. The round is over. Oh, if the game was over, FaZe would have been knocked out of Pro League playoffs. They would have lost their chance of getting the Grand Slam. North America would have won both games today. Wow. Of course, a little bit of European help with Halzerk coming into the team. Looked fantastic. And Yakinder for your Liquid. Who's like quite literally their best player right now. Insane stuff. Small thing, but when you're throwing that grenade like we just saw Grim do, make sure you go in a little bit so your teammate behind you doesn't get stuck. That'll happen a lot. Well, so they immediately go look for info, and JT gets all the way to the bottom of Banana, but immediately he's met with someone. Now, we're still in a good position, right? It's still 3v3. And now he's buying this like 15 to 18 seconds here with the smoke down for his teammate to chill for a second in case they're going to make a decision. It's still really early in the round, so in some sense, FaZe are in a power position just because they can burn grenades and still have time to do whatever they want. And they've got Grim scrambling a little bit to make the right read in this spot. And right now, Grim's like, I'm telling you right now, I have your arch. Ooh, one slip through, but we don't know if he's alone. Okay, no, it's well handled. Clearly the intention now is the A site. Last guy up in halls goes down. This guy does not miss right now. Doing beautiful work. Grim, man. You know, Grim's from Triumph, of course, the team where they play with Junior and Sheikh Zula and Curry and Spongy, and I love this roster so much, and I was really resentful of the fact that like they ended up splitting up, and I really wish they just stuck together because there was some magic there. Even if they would be an underdog team, they were just such a good team, and I feel like Sheikh Zula got kind of fucked, and I feel like Grim wasn't used properly on Liquid at all for sure. And I feel like it was sad to see Junior go to Furia and not play to the potential that you could see from Junior for sure when he was playing on Triumph. I don't really know what happened there. It feels like he lost a lot of confidence. But, yeah, I mean, I think with Complexity right now, it's like, you look at this lineup, it's a good lineup, right? Individually, lots of great stuff here. I think just as another aside, there's a point like at the major where the reason I actually stopped thinking about Complexity a little bit, this is kind of unfortunate, it has nothing to do with the players of the team, is at the major when they came in, they're like, we didn't have they didn't have a European boot camp before the major, before PGL Antwerp. And I remember thinking like, what the hell? Like, how can you not have that? And like, apparently after the last roster dissolved and you know, the European lineup, everyone was getting paid like huge salaries and they're building a juggernaut and everything. The org kind of took a little different turn. I mean, they picked up an NA team, which is awesome, but they also had everybody on lower salaries and just had less money to invest in the roster. But for me, I was like, man, you know, what can you do if you don't have a European boot camp coming into the major? Like, oh no, this is the ace. I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Yeah, that was just disgusting. All right. And then look at this. Angled dominance from above. Instant headshot, dude. That's the Grim we know. Grimmedy. Talk to him. He's frying, man. Love that you have an ace in a half like this. Matt said it on the broadcast. Best half of Pro League, potentially. It was definitely one of them. Quesarado and Yakinder probably had a couple of halves to compete with that, but disgusting here from that move. Should we watch it again one more time? Plays on 3 cents, by the way. 1280 by 960 on 3 cents. And this position, of course, it's his own smoke, which makes it even more satisfying. And Swiss gets bodied, right? Like, beautiful crosshair placement. Yeah, insane stuff here. He read every single player, every rotation, every timing. And he moved so fast that he was in like 3 different spots in like 2 seconds. So, disgusting. That was the capstone round here for Grim for sure. See if we do anything else in the halls. Oh, lining up the jump. Nope, not gonna do it. Let's see if we try. We have time to do it one more time. Oh no, okay, we're not gonna do it. But yeah, I hate when teams break up. I said the same thing about Movie Star Riders. I was really sad about Ends, this whole roster shuffle. But yeah, I mean, they showed today that, like, despite maybe being a little bit underfunded or just looked at as sort of like a, you know, a nice way to like support the NA scene and give NA players a chance and give them some infrastructure, but not like give them the full 360 deal with all the treatment and everything like that, where they have like the full boot camps and all the other stuff that honestly really matters if you want to be like a top 10 team or whatever. They showed that despite that, they could still be competitive, and I think that's awesome. And you know, that does make me really excited for the future of Complexity and just like the North American scene as well. And it, you know, the fact is, I think Elige was like in an interview with Heku at Pro League. Heku was saying, you know, Elige, like, are you the best North American team right now, or do you think this match versus Furia would determine who's the best? And he goes, well, yeah, you know, maybe, but also Complexity are looking very good. And just that nod alone is great. And I just love that there's respect across the board there, and all these teams feel like they're very good and self-confident and good versus each other. But yeah, sad they didn't win this match. Maybe for the sake of the event, it's good that FaZe won, so it keeps that storyline going. But I can't lie, I was cheering hard for Complexity, and I was, for a minute there, I was just sleeping on them. And I don't regret it. I think I had reasons, again, extraneous reasons that didn't have to do with the individuals, because I think these guys are great, obviously. But glad to see that they're still in it. You know, they're still in it. They're trying very hard, and yeah, you can take FaZe to 3 maps and nearly do it in 2. That means something, man. This is on LAN as well. People are like, oh yeah, FaZe are just playing badly. It's like, no, they're playing badly because they're bad, okay? And Complexity are great. That's what we saw today. All right, we chop it up in the 2v4, and what is the last round of the half? He's clearing first oranges. Brokey puts up the first death, and he appears like an apparition on the right side as well, of course. Brokey's just everywhere, but what a half. 10 rounds, standing well above his performances in the previous few Inferno games they played. Unbelievable moves. It is CT Inferno. I think that's as good as it looks, honestly, for a pit player in terms of how fun it can be to watch. 139 ADR, 2.15 rating versus some of the best players on Earth right now on LAN. So this is the Grim we love to see. And when we look at some of his stats overall, just for this like past year, he is definitely doing very well. And like you could see that, honestly, there's a lot of good matches to look at here. When we look at some of the better teams that he's played against, he's not only had like 1 good map in a series, he's had like 2 good maps in a series. And sometimes this is actually, these are series where Complexity are not winning everything, but good to see that Grim is absolutely pulling his weight. And I mean, very high scoring games in some of these situations. So really, really clean maps overall. Very impressive stuff. Super cool to see Grim doing this well. Hats off to Complexity for the attempt. Of course, not winning means they're out, but at the same time, I think they had everyone's attention. You know, 100K viewers on that mainstream watching Complexity show that they could, on a good day, beat FaZe. Genuinely, they could have. So that's great. It's gonna be a long road for NA in general to be able to like recover. And I don't know if that's necessarily the goal of every team. The teams just want to be the best they can possibly be, but it is pretty exciting to be able to have like multiple teams to cheer for. So let's go, Grim. Love to see it. Redemption arc for Grim after, you know, a really strugglesome year, tough year, an ugly year. over on Liquid, where things were not working out. Hope you enjoyed that. Let me know who you got next. And as always, be safe.